podcast where I present the pros and cons of different financial decisions so that you, the audience, feel better informed when you're confronted with these decisions in your own life. In this special episode, I asked the question, who is John G. Ullman Associates? But before we begin, as always, a short disclaimer. This is being recorded on March 2nd, 2023. The contents of this podcast are strictly for informational purposes only, and nothing said is to be considered investment, tax, or legal advice. It is important to discuss your specific situation with a professional before making any financial decisions, as the strategy discussed in this podcast may not be suitable for you specifically. And with that, I'll bring out my first guest, Amanda Herrick-Smith.
So here, I will move. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, and thank you all for coming.
Okay, so getting into it, who is John G. Ullman Associates? Well, it depends.
Depends who you're talking about.
So Amanda, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the financial industry?
Well, it's actually a very interesting question. So a lot of people don't know, but I love arts and crafts. So you'd think I'd go into art, right? Well, I didn't want to become a starving artist. So my other favorite was mathematics. I absolutely loved math in school. I took a lot of accounting courses. So with that, when I decided to go on to college, I decided I wanted to go into business. And I'm pretty local from around here, so I knew I wanted to either go to Alfred State or Alfred University. So I landed at Alfred State in their business administration program, also banking finance. And while I was there, they actually had a 4-year program that was pretty new, and it was in financial planning. And with most of us, we don't even know what financial planning is. They don't teach it in school. However, my mother was wonderful at budgeting. And so I was thinking, I think I can do this. I think I could do some budgeting. She was amazing at stretching a dollar, still is to this day, extremely frugal. And so I decided to enroll in the financial planning program at Alfred State, and luckily graduated from the Alfred State program in financial planning, which is board certified. And while I was looking for an employment opportunity, one of my professors mentioned about JGUA while I was at Alfred State. And so when I was looking, I noticed that the firm didn't sell products, which aligned with my own interest. Products meaning like insurance or investment products. And I really wanted to work directly with clients, helping people, not having those conflicts. And they hired me, so I feel very fortunate.
Can you share a story about a client who was especially pleased with the advice they received from the firm?
Okay, a story, let me think. So the one that comes to my mind where I think I helped the most was a colleague and I had met with a client, and we were doing some retirement planning for him. And in one of the scenarios, he wanted to move to an island. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun and interesting. So I did some research, higher cost of living. By the way, milk was extremely expensive. Who knows how much eggs are these days? So while we were working on that project together, the end result actually was that he could afford to move to the island. And he was actually very surprised by that. And at that point, I noticed and realized that what we do really helps impact people's decisions. And it could truly impact their lives. And they could be doing something different that they may not even had considered before. So that was a pretty cool experience. He did decide he didn't want to move to the island because it was far away and kind of more secluded. But to have that experience and be able to help someone is perfect.
Look at those options, yeah. How do you ensure that each client receives personalized financial advice?
Well, it's one thing, very simple. We listen. So we listen to what our clients' dreams are, what their worries are, what they want to do with their lives. And by us listening to our clients, we're able to identify, how we can help them the best to be able to, to accomplish the goals they want, because one person is very different from another. Someone might want to travel, other people maybe stay put. So what one person wants isn't always what another person wants, and by listening, we're able to understand what each person's wishes and dreams are so we can help them.
Excellent. And can you share some of your experiences working at the firm in your early years?
All right, Mike. So we're going back now, people, time traveling, 16 years. So 16 years ago, when I first started the firm here, one thing that I thought was very interesting, it's kind of fun to share. So I was provided a tour of the firm, and they were showing me offices, my new colleagues, and during this tour, and this is an internet machine. And I'm like, an internet machine? What in the world is an internet machine? And so it is explained to me that when we want to go online, we use this internet machine. So we did not have internet at our desktop at that point for security purposes, which I totally understand. But coming from a tech school, I was very surprised by that. And fast forward now to 2023, it's amazing the technology change. We have, we're able to access email on our cell phones for quick responses to clients. We have remote access, which was, necessary during the pandemic. And so we've really come a long way. So that was one thing. Also space. So my first space, it was about 4 by 5 foot. So I called it my cubby hole for all those that know. And the space is tremendously different now. Obviously, we're in this beautiful building in big flats. I have an office in a door. And in the past, Pete and I had to shut Pete out because we had a window in between our offices. So when I didn't want to hear Pete, I would just shut the window, which was most of the time. Close the blind, shut the window. It's great. It was an internal window. So yeah, things have changed. It's amazing. We've come a long way.
Well, that was really informative. Thank you very much, Amanda.
All right.
And with that, let's bring up Darren.
Andrew.
Darren Wilcox. So what sets the firm apart from other financial advisory firms?
Okay, so John Ullman Associates, one of the things that sets us apart is our approach to client service. I think so we have a balanced approach on the investment side. That's one thing. So we're not going to put everybody 100% in the stock market. We're not going to have them 100% out of the stock market either, generally, right? So that's one approach. And it's also the proactive way that we approach clients in the day-to-day servicing. That's the other thing. So what we strive to do is we want to be their one-stop shop for any financial questions. So if somebody has a financial problem, or any problem, frankly, for that matter, our hope is that they pick up the phone or shoot us an email and let us know about it so that we can be their first line of defense, as opposed to maybe waiting until something has gone seriously wrong to call us, which they can do too. That's totally fine. We have those as well. But certainly our goal is to be that first phone call so that we can help. And as I always tell people, my goal is to either help you solve your problem or find you someone who can solve it at the end of the day.
How do you stay up to date? No, you maybe the firm.
Globally.
Globally. How do you stay up to date with latest financial industry trends and regulations?
Great question. So from a regulation standpoint, I'll tell you, that's the easy one. I walk down the hall to our chief compliance officer and I knock on her door and I ask her what's going on. We have a wonderful deep bench. That's the other great thing about having 75 employees is we have a lot of people doing a lot of different things. So I'm able to go and leverage all of the different professionals. So our compliance officer stays up to date on all of our regulations. Beyond that, certainly I follow a lot of financial advisors and other professionals on social media. I'm able to find a lot of blogs and articles on that. And it's just talking to people. I think one of the great things that we have, and you'll hear about this, I'm sure, from others as well, is we have a wide range of different experiences and experience on our advisor, among the advisors and among other professionals as well. So it's multiple times a day or certainly a week, we'll have an email chain that'll go around that'll say, hey, I have a client who's looking for some help with this. Like Andrew, you sent one the other day about, let's see, what was yours was, now I'm blanking on what it was. You sent one the other day about an attorney thing or something. Yeah. So they'll send that around and immediately it's 2 or 3 different responses from others saying, oh yeah, I had a client who had that same situation. Here's how we handled it. And so it's constant. We're constantly talking to each other. We're constantly learning from each other and constantly helping each other. And then I'd say the last part of that also is we have in-person meetings all the time as well. So we'll huddle in this beautiful atrium and we'll have an agenda. We'll talk about, what are some things that we're doing with clients to help clients. We go to continuing education seminars, and there's a lot of different things we do, because the last thing we want to do is just sit back in our offices, be shut off from the world, and not know what's going on, because then we're not helping clients at all.
That's very true. What exciting developments can we expect from the firm in the near future?
Well, I'd say client-centric is probably where I'd go first. So our first goal is obviously everything we can do to help clients have a better experience. So whether that means increasing our number of advisors, increasing the services potentially that we can provide, increasing our expertise in different areas, those are certainly things that we always want to make sure that we're providing the best possible services for our clients. And so that would be one thing. Beyond that, I mean, we're always looking for extra people that we can find who are good professionals who can help us in our growth. And to that aspect, I'd say from a growth standpoint, without giving away any secrets, we would certainly be looking to do some expansion in the future. So that could be geographic expansion. It could be expansion of just different offices, different places. And our hope is that we can, with the goal certainly of being able to reach more people. The more people we can reach, the more people we can help, and the better we can be as professionals.
Absolutely. I'm interested to see what your answer is for this one.
Oh dear.
What is the most rewarding aspect of the job of being a financial advisor?
So for me, it's about the people. It's every day, and I'd say the great part about that question is it's not really a job at that point, and that's what makes it rewarding for me, is to be able to come to work, to be able to meet with people, to help people, to find ways that, as Amanda kind of talked about this, that over time, as I work with them, I'm able to see the changes that they make. I'm able to celebrate accomplishments with them. I'm able to mourn with them as people die, as things happen. All of those things make them really a part of my life as much as I'm a part of their life. And that, to me, is a very rewarding aspect. And being able to sit with someone, whether it's for half an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, to go through something, and at the end of it, they walk out of the room saying, okay, I've got this now, that's rewarding for me as well. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we walk out of the room, we say, okay, we got a lot more work to do. We'll figure this out, but we'll figure it out together. And that, to me, that is what helps me to want to keep coming to work every day, is to be able to continue to find new opportunities to help people.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
And with that, let's bring on Pete. Pete, what led you to John G. Ullman Associates?
I don't know if I was led. I think I was dragged. John gets credit for that. John knew me through the banking community. I was a banker in Corning, and he wanted me to come to work for him. And actually, it was a good fit, because in banking, you kind of sometimes take the doors that open up to you. And I ended up being a commercial banker. What I really wanted to do when I was in college was work in a trust department. And this firm, in a lot of ways, is kind of like a trust department, because we do a lot of things and we get to know the people real well. So it was a fit. John kind of was after me for a while, and I finally said yes.
How do you build and maintain trust with clients?
Well, it probably starts with what Amanda said. You listen, but you have empathy and understand that we all feel different about money. And there isn't always a right answer. It's not always black and white. This is what you have to do. It's what really feels right to you and what you can live with those decisions. So it's listen, educating people, getting them to the point where they can make an informed decision. And you build trust out of that, because people, I think, understand that you really are trying to just put their interest first and not just give them a quick answer.
Can you share a success story about a client who saw great results from the advice provided by the firm?
Yeah, I'm sure there's several. I think one that comes to mind, because it's a little more recent, was we had an executive that was referred to me by a colleague, and they came in, and in advance they had provided me with a lot of information. And I knew when he came in that I had something that I think was going to surprise him. And that is he was missing out from his company's retirement plans about $20,000 a year in matching money that he could be getting from his employer. Now, this guy's super successful, right? Very good at his job, but no time for his own personal finances. And I pointed that out to him. I said, I don't care what happens, you have to leave here today knowing this. And that was on I think he came in on a Sunday. Monday morning, he took care of that. So, that made a big difference to him right away. There's stories like that about finances, and there's also just a lot of stories that the advisors can tell you about just being there for people when they need someone to be a coach and to help them through life's little decisions and struggles that they have.
Similar, Darren, I'm interested in your take on this one. Can you describe any major challenges the firm has faced over the years?
Well, the major challenges, I think, probably not only in the firm, but maybe in our families, comes down to change. And back when John was dragging me to the firm, one of the things that we were going through at that time, and Jason was interviewing at about the same time, was we were adding people. Do you remember that, Kate, when we had new people we were adding? And John said something hugely insightful to me on that day. And we were meeting in his office, and he said, everybody's offered change until you have to change yourself. And I think there's a lot to that then. There's a lot to it now. So I've been here 25 years, and I've had to change several times. And sometimes and people in this room can, confirm this, I'm not always the quickest to embrace those changes. But at the same time, that's the secret to really, I think, succeeding and having the firm grow and evolve into what we are and what we will be.
As you can see, some of us wear suits and some of us wear bright pink colored shirts. It really depends who you get.
If you're from Canada, today was a nice balmy spring day.
Todd, can you share a story about a defining moment in your career that led you to where you are today?
Yes, it probably wasn't a great experience. I started with Amanda 16 years ago, and I started with Tom Snow, and my goal in the first 2 years, they were pretty high. I came in from a sporting background. I didn't know what an IRA or a 401k was. I had to learn the entire business. I had to learn the way we did business. I had to get involved in as many client relationships with Tom as I could. I had a marketing goal, and then, by the way, you had to study and pass the CFP, which I hadn't been in college for about 15 years. I hadn't been in a classroom for about 15 years, and probably underestimated the exam. I failed the exam my first time. I went up with Darren, went up with another advisor to Buffalo, and it was crazy. It was at that time, a 2-day exam, 6 hours one day, 4 hours the next day. I mean, I thought, I am in so far over my head. So anyway, Tom pretty quickly found out the results, called me into his office. And for those of you that know Tom, he rarely shuts his door, but this time he asked me to shut the door. And he said, I heard the results of your exam. I said, yeah, not great. He said, I'll tell you this. He said, if you fail it again, your path here at Ullman's may be different. And I didn't want it to be different. I had enjoyed working with Tom and all the clients that I had for the first 2 years, and I did not want to change paths. So 3 months later, I passed with flying colors, but that was my defining moment. Fear's a good motivator.
Fear can be a good motivator.
Yes, it is.
How do you think the firm's core values have led to its success?
Well, I think every time John talks, he brings up ethics and values and integrity and accountability. I mean, he has just driven that into us, and I hope that never changes. It's been the pillars of our business for 45 years, and I hope it continues to be the pillars for the next 45 years. That being said, especially in the last 10 years with you and Ryan and Amelia coming on board, we've had to change. We've had to change in terms of our technology. We have to change our sales and marketing. We really had to make some major changes, and we've done that. I mean, you can't pick up your phone or your tablet or your laptop without seeing us in the digital world, and that's a fantastic tribute to you guys. So some things needed to change, and they have absolutely changed with flying colors. Some don't need to change, and I hope those pillars of morals and ethics and values don't change.
I agree with that. So this is a question I'm interested from Todd. How do you differentiate yourself from other financial advisors, since there's 15 plus of us?
I think that's an easy question, and I'll use a sports analogy. Darren mentioned it is just our bench strength. When I come to work for 8 or 10, if John's listening, 12 hours a day, I work with my clients the whole time. And if I have a computer issue, I call one of our computer folks. If I have an HR issue, I call them. Tax, investment. I mean, it goes on and on. And I think as a smaller firm, if you're a 2 or 3 person shop, a lot of your day is spent doing that kind of stuff. Compliance, Derek mentioned. My gosh, dotting your I's and crossing your T's. It's mind-boggling, and that's just something I would not want to do, nor could I do. So it's really cool that when we come to work, we do financial planning, we solve and look for solutions for their problems, and that's definitely the best part of my job.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned while working here?
Biggest lesson I've learned from working here is that we are financial planners or life coaches or whatever you want to call us second. I think we're in the people business, we're in the relationship business, and I think there's a saying, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, and that's really what our clients are like. And it's kind of cool. I looked today in preparation for this, and I have 8 relationships now that are 3 generations, which is so cool. Grandma and Grandpa came on with Tom Snow 35 to 40 years ago. The kids now are 55. They were some of my first clients. They're dealing with retirement plans, maybe downsizing, maybe planning weddings and what have you. And then they got their kids, which are grandkids of the original clients, that are mid-20s, and they're got school debt. Should I rent an apartment or buy a house? Should I lease a car or buy a car? What should I invest my 401k in? So it's really cool to see how the continuity between families and also within our office, with my son standing over there as an associate advisor, just the continuity and the relationships we've built with our clients and with the staff that we have. That's really the cool part about this whole situation, is that it's all about relationships and dealing with people.
I really like how you said that.
Thanks.
And before we wrap up, last but not least, Jason Nickerson.
I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to say. That's kind of a tough act to follow over there, Andrew.
Well, you took the job, so.
Yeah, true.
How does the firm plan to continue to grow and expand in the future?
Well, Andrew, it depends. No, I'm kidding. So for everyone in the crowd, it's we've kind of gone on now for a few minutes, and if it's time to switch over to a caffeine drink, I tend to be blamed for not being short-winded by any means. So I'm not going to answer your question directly right away. As you know, I start with why usually, right? And so we've taken on the strategic plan to grow, and it's important for everyone to understand as to why that is. A lot of the key points have already been made here tonight, and I think I think that's important to reiterate, right? Is that, as Todd said, we're in the people business. And if you listen to what people have said this evening, or one piece of content that I tend to reflect on, done by our marketing team, is Inside JGUA. It's a great series. And if you listen closely, you hear some common themes, right? When they're asked, why do what do you enjoy about working for JGUA and so on? And there's two key themes that kind of come out. One is what we do for the clients and working with each other. And this is said by people across the company, right? This isn't just advisors that are sitting in those videos. And so when you step back and you're able to get some distance and really understand how the passion and the pride of what we do for people really resonates. I mean, again, you're hearing it this evening, you're hearing it in different forms of content. You realize that how important it is and understand the impact you can have in people's lives. I tend to say a lot that, in my opinion, that people's personal financial lives are second only to their mental and physical health. And if you go at your role each and every day with that understanding, and that people have trusted us with their family's financial lives, their life savings, their hard work, it's easy to get to the answering of your question, which is what does growth look like into the future? Because we have a solid why. We make a serious impact, and it's all about reach, right? For us, we've done very well here in 45 years and 25 years in Rhinebeck. And now it's time maybe to expand the recognition of what John Ullman Associates is, because we really believe in it and the foundation. And so through different forms of building that recognition, whether it's our marketing team and doing events like this with you, it's our relationship development team, whose job is so important about reaching out one-to-one with people and hopefully introducing them to their forever advisor. These are just some of the key additions to our growth strategy. And it was also mentioned tonight, one of the things that we're looking to do is expand our geographic footprint as well. And that's important because, what we saw coming through the pandemic is almost contrarian to what we're talking about tonight, right? Is we saw advisors and financial institutions sort of shrink their their geographic footprint. And it made sense, right? Because we were all locked in for a few years. But coming out of COVID, what we heard from our team and clients and just people in the community is it's great to be back and doing things like this again, right? And again, it resonates the importance of people's personal financial lives, that they don't just want to do this over a video screen or over a phone call. And we've had that for decades here at Ullman's, because we have clients in more than 40 states and even some foreign countries. But we also recognize the importance of being able to sit across the table from someone, whether it's here in our offices or it's their kitchen table or their coffee table. And it's not always about finishing a big financial planning project. Sometimes it's just having a cup of coffee and how's the family and what's going on, right? So I think those are the key ways that both this community and maybe the greater region is going to see us grow is seeing our name and faces out there much more, talking about what we do, because we are still extremely unique in this space. As we take a lot of feedback from our clients, which is the most important feedback we get, is what we do and the value that we provide. We do also from time to time look out at our competitors, and we see that our competitors are still trying to catch up to what we've done already, and we are trying to expand even our services and what we can offer clients as well. So there's a lot of great opportunities in just being able to talk about and get that information out there to not just our local communities, but regions. And with that, be where our clients are, or where, hopefully our clients will be, and be able to have that in-person touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And so since you've been here 25 years now, how has company culture evolved from you first started until now?
I like the way you asked that, because again, something that's already been stated tonight is that what we hope is things never really change here. Kind of the foundations that were built by John back in 1978. We all live them, and we're extremely passionate about them, right? As we look at our priorities, of ethics and values always come first, our clients second, we're third, and growth is fourth, and change is fifth. So at the root, we're hoping that that culture really doesn't change, right? The service culture and what the value we provide to our clients. How it's evolved in such a positive way is if you look at, from when I joined, we were a 20 to 30 person firm, and now we're approaching 80 people. It's what those people bring to the table, their personality traits and skill sets, that has helped our culture evolve, right? It's only furthered what the foundations that we were built on. You heard tonight about how we're a great think tank here across all departments, not just the advisors, but across human resources, IT, tax, and things like this. So the evolution of the culture has really been in the people. Both the people we brought in as well as our clients have really impacted the culture of the firm. And we continuously look for new ways to add value and add services. And I think that's a further evolution of the company is to really look beyond what we're already doing and see how much more we can really do.
I can speak that when I joined the firm 5 years ago, it felt like there had been a tradition of doing good work and practicing ethics for a long time. So,
Yeah.
What you mean. Can you tell us about a time that you helped a client above and beyond what is traditionally considered financial planning?
Well, I will say no. And that's because, and it's not because I can't do it. It's because what resonates in my mind, what kind of echoes in my brain, and I'm gonna point someone out of the crowd, is a story that someone who's been a mentor to me for 25 years is Kate Gerwig. And she's been an advisor here for more than 30 years. And she tells some of the greatest client stories that I've ever heard. And one continuously resonates in my mind. So I'm going to tell it. She could tell it much better. But it's a client situation where she helped this transition of care happen over a period of time. And the reason, and as advisors, we do this, right? I mean, we're caring for people in their financial lives, which, is impacted by other things. But she tells this great story that the couple that she was working with were local and, at a stage of care, and it was time for them to transition to the next stage of care. And she played such an important role in that because family members were outside the area, right? And so she was a regular visitor and could see the need for the next level of care. And for the family to build that level of trust, not just the clients that she's working with locally, but the extended family, to build that level of trust in her and say, you're right, and how do we do this? And then Kate just didn't walk away from that. She inserted herself even further by going through their belongings and, okay, here's what you need to keep, here's what you don't need to keep. She helped them sell a car. It's one, again, I'm abbreviating the story, but it's one of the great stories that I've heard, is just the level of care, the implementation of the care, and the trust amongst the family, to trust her advice to that level is incredible. But we all have stories to share, and just some additional anecdotally, things like that I see us getting involved in that are hot topics today, sort of hot buttons today. One of the big ones that we talk about a lot, right, is identity theft and how to protect that. And again, it's not just handing someone an instruction sheet. Okay, here's how you go freeze your credit, and here's call these numbers. We actually bring the clients in and sit down and freeze the credit with them right here in our offices. So the level of care and the level of touch and roll up your sleeves and get the work done is pretty incredible here.
I think I maybe speak for all of us, but I think we were all attracted to being that level of care at the firm, because not every firm offers that.
Yeah, very much so.
And so here's the real question we're waiting all night for. Jason, what do you consider to be the biggest milestone or achievement in the firm's history?
So before I answer that question, I want to I'm going to spoil some news for you. We all had these questions in advance. So if you think that we are great interviewees, we are somewhat prepared. But I say that because this question is the one I fretted the most, mainly because I could not pinpoint one. Okay. So again, I tend to be long-winded, and I'm not going to stop now. Over my 25 years, if you think about that, the firm's been around 45. There's another 20 before me, which is a long time, right? So I'll highlight some things, right? I think first of, in 1978, the vision that John had is pretty incredible. You know, this was a structure for financial services that didn't exist, or existed in areas not here, and we weren't connected by technology and internet to find this out, right? So he saw this segmented financial services industry and said, there's got to be a better way. And both rooted in the ethics and values, which have continued now for 45 years and will continue into the future if we all have anything to say about it, right? But just having that foresight of this is what financial services firms should provide clients, and this is what clients deserve as a relationship. And then to be able to see that the financial services industry in general is still trying to kind of catch up to this, right? They're still trying to find ways to add more extensive tax services or estate planning and things like this. So I think that was one, which may be a little cliche. If you roll forward, I'm sure all of you are expecting that the next one I would say is when they hired me, but I'm not. That's not a big monumental thing in the firm. But at the moment that I was hired is when we were bringing on our first branch office in Rhinebeck, New York, which is pretty incredible how that all happened. And to be a part of it was pretty special. And mainly from a training standpoint, that was incredible. But to be able to watch Karen Merriweather and Tom Snow, the magic they made happen with that. Again, technology was there, but you know, this was a lot of road warrior type work for them to drive back and forth to Rhinebeck, New York to onboard an office. So that would be another one that kind of comes to mind. Then if we fast forward and we look at the changes that have come about in the company with, you know, I think Todd said it, you know, with technology, and Amanda said it with technology, how we were able to hold true to who we are when it comes to confidentiality and security, but implement the technology that we have is pretty incredible. And that's kind of an overarching thing, right? We have a great IT team headed by Steve Kaufman, who have really taken, you know, technology for us and made it happen our way, right? Which, if you look at in general, people have rushed towards technology and said, this is just what we have to do. And Steve and Wilby and Joey, they've kind of taken this and said, yes, we need to have technology, but we need to do it our way. And I'm, you know, referring back to Amanda's internet machine days, which was pretty incredible. I would say another one would be when we moved out to this building. Think about this, that we were on Market Street for decades. And to move to a building like this caused a lot of mixed emotions, right? Not just internally, but from the community at large. We were the second largest employer on the street at that point in time. And to kind of feel like we're packing up and leaving, it was a great opportunity for everybody involved, right? Is just the general area, you know, able to open another site where we have not left Corning. We're going to be on Market Street in Corning for a long, long time, is my vision. And the internal was, you know, it's about change, like has been talked about today. But now, if you get the general consensus, is that internally is that this is a great space for us to continue to grow, to continue to work better together, and we're not leaving Market Street in general. So I would say that's, you know, that's probably another one. How we came through COVID was, and a lot of businesses did this, right, was pretty incredible as well. I'm very proud of us as a company, how we continued to serve our clients through that time. Again, we're very in-person oriented, and we were able to continue to maintain a high level of service to our clients, even through all of that and the technology challenges that can happen. And then just how our team operated, extremely respectful and professional, both of our clients and of each other, and keeping people safe and healthy and things like that. We, you know, we didn't take any government money. coming through the pandemic, which other businesses had to. That's understandable, and I'm extremely proud of us for that, to have an exceptionally strong firm financially, that we didn't have to do that. And probably more overarching, not just COVID related, but overarching, this company's never had a layoff before. And I think that's pretty incredible to say from a historical standpoint. And, it's our goal and intention is to never lay off anybody. We'll see what happens. And then I guess I would wrap it up, as I'm sure you're all hoping I will at some point, is just the ongoing client retention that we've had. It speaks a lot to our clients, their loyalty and dedication to the company, as well as the loyalty and dedication of our entire team, to commit to this structure and this service. And when I say our entire team, I'm going to give you an example that is COVID related, since I brought up COVID. A couple of entrepreneurs that had founded a very successful business, but they haven't invested heavily in human resources. And during COVID, to be able to connect them with our director of HR to give them advice when he's already very busy, as our whole HR department was, trying to help manage our company through that, to take time out and work directly with our clients to help them as well. And it just speaks, to some of the accomplishments of the company. So, overarching, just the ability to continue to serve clients and their loyalty back to us is pretty incredible.
Jason, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you to everyone on our panel. And to answer the question, who is John G. Ullman Associates? Well, it depends.